Hello everyone, welcome to the first Mortal Empires multiplayer game. This is going to be a 2v2 where I am bringing Wurrzag's Horde. We have some allies with the Wood Elves. We're facing off against the forces of Chaos and the Skaven on a map that I've never played before, which has a lot of water. So this is probably a map that's good for like skinks of the lizards because they have that aquatic trait. So again, I'm bringing Wurrzag's Wall. We are being led by Wurrzag and playing just a massive Savage Orc build. We have 4 units of the Savage Orcs, which are pretty cheap. Offensively focused infantry that rely on their physical resistance of 25% because they have 0 armor to kind of keep them in the battle. You can see the weapon strength is really high for a unit that only costs 550, but their melee defense is weak. Again, they have 0 armor, so they're just meant to hit like a truck, but they can't really necessarily take a lot of damage. But I think Savage Orcs are still really good unless you're fighting against a lot of very high armored targets, obviously, because their high weapon strength does not really focus much on armor piercing. They can eventually crack armor, but it will take them a long time, and that's not what they're really suited for. So we have 4 of the Savage Orcs, and then we also have 3 Savage Orc Biggins, the upgraded Savage Orc that also has a bonus versus large. But this unit, it is basically good against almost everything, except, again, against units that have very high armor. This thing can kill small units, it can kill large units. Some anti-large units cannot really do super well against infantry, but these definitely can brute themselves through almost anything. Again, except if they're going up against Chaos Warriors, units with 120 armor. But even those, they can eventually crack with their high weapon strength. They have an okay melee defense, really high melee attack, again, 0 armor, and they rely on their physical resistance of 25% and their frenzy to kind of carry them initially into the battle. So we have 3 of them, 1 in the middle of my line, and then 1 on each flank over there and over there. Behind my main infantry line, we have 2 Savage Orc Arrow Boys. These are like the basic Savage Orcs with just slightly lower melee stats, but they also have a bow and arrow. That's why they kind of are okay, because I think they're the same cost as the normal Savage Orcs. I believe they're 550. But the only thing is that they have lower unit count, they have lower melee stats slightly, but the weapon strength is still 38 in melee, which is insanely high for an archer unit. And they also, another trade-off is that they have poor accuracy. I don't know how worse their accuracy is compared to normal units, because that isn't really a stat in this game. They just tell you, hey, yo, this thing has poor accuracy. But they can still hit units, and they still double up as an okay low-tier infantry, considering their stats are still pretty good. The thing is that they're just not going to block anything. They have an 8 melee defense. They have 0 armor. But they can still hit pretty hard in melee, and I got 2 of those. I also brought 2 of the Savage Orc Boar Boys. These are the basic of the Savage Orc Cav. There is one more that costs a lot more that I still don't know if it's really worth it or not, but these are only $750, and for that price I think you get a decent Cav unit here. They're not super fast, but their melee attack is okay. Again, like other Savage Orcs, their melee defense is really low, but they can hit armor targets pretty well. This is kind of the unit that you need if you want to bring a Savage build. You need the Cav, either this one or the Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins, because they also have armor piercing damage. So that's where you're going to get most of your armor piercing damage from, is from the Cav. Their charge bonus is really good. They have frenzy, they have the physical resistance, and I mean, they're not going to stand up to enemy shock Cav. Like, if you throw these up against any kind of Bretonnian Cav, Chaos Knights with lances, anything like that, these guys are probably going to get wrecked. But as long as you have to kind of be careful with them. They're not really an anti-Cav, especially on the charge. They will get torn to pieces. But I have 2 of those. They are relatively cheap, and they are Savage Orcs, so I brought them. Then for my leadership, actually, I guess we can cover the Giant. I brought a Giant. I don't normally bring a Giant, but it's a Savage Orc build. We needed armor piercing because we're going up against Warriors of Chaos, and I didn't want to just sprinkle in Black Orcs in here for our armor piercing damage, because that's not a Savage build. But a Giant is pretty savage. So Giant's still really good. They have such high hit points, almost unbreakable leadership, high weapon strength that is really good. You can't put them up against infantry, but they can also really excel as hero and lord killers, as long as they can get their hands on said lord or hero killer, because they only do have a speed of 36. But if they do, with their very high melee attack of 65, they can usually crack through the melee defense of, again, lords and heroes. So they kind of excel at that as well, and a really good charge bonus. And again, they cause fear and terror because they are a giant and also have a physical resistance of 11. No, that's wrong. They have that physical resistance, because they are near Wurrzag, who is exuding an aura for... I was like, wait a minute, giants don't have physical resistance? This is crazy. Did this get changed to Warhammer 2? But anyway, so I brought a Giant. They are very good for the price. I don't have any problems with Giants. It's just they're tricky bringing them in certain matchups because they are very susceptible to like cannon fire, Skaven Warp Lightning Cannon, which I assumed would be on this map, but I still wanted to bring a giant. So yeah, we got a big old giant there. Name is Bob. Leadership, we got Wurrzag, because this is Wurrzag's WAAAGH. Brought him on his board, which grants him armor-piercing damage. Also grants him much higher speed, which I think he kind of needs, because Wurrzag is not exactly the best melee fighter, so can easily be sniped, especially by flying legendary lords and just lords that are good at getting around onto yours. If he's not on a board, he's pretty slow and can be kind of easily sniped. So anyway, the board grants him the armor piercing damage and the speed. But for spells here, we've got the Foot of Gork, because that is a staple of the greenskins. We also got Here We Go, and then I took Brain Bursta. Because Brain Bursta, I haven't actually tested it before this battle, but I assumed it would do well against Skaven hordes. I'm assuming, because most of these little explosion spells can do pretty good against densely packed units. And I also brought it because it has a low cooldown so that we can try and proc one of his special items, the Bonewood Staff. So whenever you start casting a spell, as soon as you start casting, for 17 seconds, the entire army, including your allies, I believe, should get this buff, which is going to be a plus 13 melee attack and 18% charge bonus for 17 seconds. So with these types of items, I try to bring a spell, and they're usually explosion spells, a spell that can kind of just be spammed, relatively low mana cost, and cooldown. So that's kind of why I brought Brainbuster. Otherwise, if I didn't have that staff, I'd probably just bring Here We Go and Foot of Gork, because these are kind of expensive and they're really good. I also brought his unique ability, Effigy of the Git, which is going to do direct damage and, more importantly, keep a unit pinned in place. So that is really good at trying to snipe, well, anything that you want to snipe or at least keep away from your forces. His other unique item is the Squiggly Beast, which increases the power recharge rate and reserves, so I brought that as well. He also has Wurrzag's Revenge, which is a great ability of Wurrzag, which grants all other enemy casters plus 50% chance to miscast. So even normal spells, I believe they should still have a chance of miscasting, and it's a pretty good hex to kind of neuter the enemy casters. Warpaint of Wurrzag is what we saw in the Giant, so this grants 11% physical resistance to all units around him. Now, I believe this has changed. It's been a while since I've played Wurrzag, because I've only played Warhammer 2, but I'm almost positive that this was only active if you were not engaged in melee, but it seems like the engaged in melee part has been taken off, so this is just always on now, so it's got an upgrade. Because before, again, I'm almost certain you could not put Wurrzag into melee if you wanted this physical resistance buff on it himself and the units. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, we got the Warpaint of Wurrzag, and then Power to WAAAGH is just another normal ability. It increases recharge rate. It's pretty cool, I guess, especially for casters. He also comes with Frenzy because he is a Savage Orc, and now his physical resistance, which is normally 25% like other Savage Orcs, is now 36% because he does benefit from his own Warpaint of Wurrzag, as do these orcs by him. You can see their physical resistance should be 36, yeah. And that's, oh, I'm sorry, I also brought a Gobbo. The Goblin boss has changed a little bit. I'm not entirely sure stat-wise. I don't remember the stats par for par, but they look relatively the same. One of the things that are different is that now the Gobbo war bosses, or I'm sorry, big bosses, have the Sword of Anti-Heroes, 36% self-buff, 20% damage bonus forces, or for armor and weapon damage. So this kind of shoots his weapon damage, I'm not going to say through the roof, but it gives him a nice buff for 36 seconds. And of course, Slippery was changed with the melee defense, but everyone who has Slippery has that buff as well. So yeah, a little buff here for the Goblin Big Boss, which is, like, they still seem to, I think they're still the same price from what I can remember, and now they have this, so they're even better. And I think Goblin Big Bosses were just fine before, especially on the Spider Mount, which is why he is now dealing poison. The Spider Mount gives him poison and the Strider ability, which means they will not take any combat penalties in terrain. So that's really good. So I brought one Goblin Big Boss, and of course I brought these Sword of Heroes. I didn't bring any of their unique items. The other unique item, which I think is a potion now, so I guess that has changed, but I didn't bring that one. But yeah, Sword of Anti-Heroes, like on a Goblin Big Boss. That's kind of cool. All right, for the Wood Elves, I've not really looked at them too much, so I don't know of any real big changes except for one with their leader. But their army here, we have Treekin, which are the monstrous infantry that are very tanky. They have decent, or actually really good armor and really high melee defense. They're just meant to kind of hold the line with a fire weakness because they are trees. They also have two of the War Dancers, really good combat stats, really good against infantry. Kind of like the Savage Orcs, the one thing that kind of stops them is going to be, well, bow fire and heavy armor. So that's kind of their weakness as well. And then my ally brought two of those, and they have a physical, what is their physical resistance? 20%? Yeah, their natural physical resistance is 20%. Behind those, we have two Glade Guard. These are the basic archers of the Wood Elves. We have one normal Glade Guard, which is a pretty good archer unit. And then we also have a Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts, which is going to apply fire and magical damage and armor pierce. Actually, I guess the other one's armor piercing too, right? No, I guess they're not. Huh, my bad. Oh, right, yeah, duh. Starfire Shafts are the armor piercing version. Sorry. It's been a while since I've looked at Wood Elves. So yeah, as you can see, they have armor piercing damage and again fire and magical, which is a really nice thing to have on your archer. You can kind of exploit that to use different people's weaknesses. So they have two archer units, and then behind that we also have a tree man, which is going to be a very tanky monster unit that does decent damage. Not really armor piercing focused, but still can hold itself for quite a while with its huge leadership, very good melee defense and armor. So I think it's a really good unit. I probably would rather have the Giant, but they kind of do different things. Like the Treeman is more defensively focused, the Giant is more offensive armor piercing focus. So this thing is kind of more to hold the line for a long time. This one's just built to kind of deal damage for the most part with it, and it kind of rely on its very high set of hit points. But I think they're both good. Then besides that, we do have a Spell Singer of Life with the 2 heal spells, and I think this item has changed. The Power Stone, is that different? I think it's different. Again, I kind of forget what everyone had in the first game. But anyway, they have the 2 heal spells, the Regrowth and the Earthblood. They took the passive Life Bloom, which is going to trigger map wide whenever casting a spell. For 5 seconds, units will start to replenish. Was that? That was map wide before, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And then Blessing of the Ancients is a buff that only applies when in a forest, which will increase the Wood Elf's power reserves and power recharge rate. So that is their Spell Singer of Life. Then flying above them, they have a Archer, a Glade Lord, which, again, I don't know if their stats have changed much between the games, but they are on a dragon, and you can notice that this dragon does have Sulfuric Breath. So it has a breath weapon like other dragons of Warhammer 2. I was asked a few times if the dragons of this game or if Warhammer 1 were going to get updated. I'm like, yeah, they were. So here you go. They have now breath weapons. And I think this is different. I don't remember the Archer Glade Lord having this item, the Banner of the Eternal Queen, which is a constant effect of 6% damage resistance and 4% leadership. I just don't remember her having that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't remember. I think that's been added, I think. But yeah, so now the Glade Lord on a dragon is better, simply just because they now have a breath weapon. And again, melee stat-wise, I'm not entirely sure if these have changed much, but they're still a very good combatant now in melee on a dragon. And they also came with the Eye of Kurnos, which is a missile buff for units around them, which I think has not really changed. And did they bring the Pew Pew? Yeah, Arrow of Kurnos, which is the 3 charges of armor-piercing missile damage, kind of like a spell. And then they also have the Prey of Anathrema, which can hold a unit down for 21 seconds. It just pins them to the ground, which I don't think that's changed either. Alright, that is the friendly army. For the Chaos Army, they brought a Shaggoth, which is still a very powerful monster unit here, Bruiser, that is focused on armor piercing and anti-large, so they can do pretty good against my Giant or against the Treeman. They have excellent combat stats, excellent leadership, really good armor, really good charge bonus, fear and terror. They're just a very solid bruiser of the Warriors of Chaos. For their Cav, they brought 1. We have the Chaos Knights with Lances, very expensive, very tanky, and really high charge bonus, Shock Cav, and pretty good stats too, but they cost a lot of money. And they could definitely wreck my poor Savage Orc Biggins, or Boar Boys, pretty quickly. They're really good Shock Cav. I kind of like to bring the melee version. The Chaos Knights have just a sword version, which has a lower charge bonus, but better melee stats, so they can kind of hold themselves in melee a lot longer. But the Knights with Lances are fine too. Their main line is going to be made up of 4 of these Forsaken, which are very scary considering the army that I brought, because they have insane weapon strength. They also have Frenzy. They have really good melee stats, or I guess I should say melee attack for their price. Their melee defense is kind of not that much, but they do have a lot higher armor than my Savage Orcs do, and the enemy brought 4 of these. They're a very solid unit. The Forsaken are really good against a lot of matchups, and their only real weakness is focus fire of arrows, and hopefully armor-piercing arrows, but still arrows nonetheless can eventually chew through the 75 armor. They brought 4 of those. Behind that, we have one group of the Aspiring Champions, which is a small elite unit that is relatively cheap for the price. They have really good block chance on the shield, really high armor, really high leadership. They also exude an encouraging aura, so they can provide a leadership bonus to units around them, which is a nice bonus. They can be Vanguard deployed, but I don't think I really ever have, because not many things can for the warriors, so I don't know, but they can be Vanguard deployed. They have really excellent melee stats. They come with a magical attack, which is not really widespread for the forces of chaos, so they definitely need units that can deal magical attacks, get through physical resistances, especially of like the dwarven ghosts, especially. But yeah, I think the aspiring champions are great. I think they can fit in almost any kind of build for the Chaos Army. So they brought one of those. Their leadership is going to be Big Bird, aka Sartorial, the Everwatcher. I think this is my favorite Legendary Lord for Chaos. Or actually, I know it's my favorite Legendary Lord of Chaos. And with them, they brought the Transmutation of Lead. They brought the Final Transmutation, which I don't know if it's been nerfed or not. I haven't really spent much time with it. We also have Searing Doom, which is kind of a spammable bombardment spell. And then for their passive, Metal Shifting has actually changed. Again, I'm pretty sure. Metal Shifting before, I believe, granted a 4 or 8% bonus map wide at all times to armor piercing damage, but now it's whenever Sartorial is casting, or anybody who has the lower metal, I guess, it is now 10% chance armor piercing damage and weapon damage. So that's been changed, at least for 13 seconds. He is unbreakable because he is Sartorial. He provides encouraging aura because he's leaders, and then Fear and Terror, and decent, yeah, missile resistance, right. So he has a very high missile resistance of 60%. So it's kind of hard to snipe Sartorial, especially if you're shooting magical bow attacks like the Glade Guard have. A lot of their damage is going to be blocked by his natural resistance with magic and missiles. So that is their leadership. I believe that's their only lord and or hero. Yeah. Behind him, we have the Chaos Warriors, the Great Weapons. We have 2 of those. Very, very good melee infantry of Chaos. I think these are one of the best infantry units in the game for the price. Although now that I'm saying that, I haven't checked their price in Mortal Empires yet, so I don't know if they got a cost increase. If they didn't, then they're still one of the best infantry units for the price in the game, I believe. I love Chaos Warriors Great Weapons. They're just so good. And then we also have a Hell Cannon back here, manned by the Chaos Dwarves. It is still a brutal siege piece that you need to try and destroy very quickly because it can snipe your units really fast. I don't know if that ability to fire twice is still in this game. I haven't tested that yet either. But like, CA never took that out of Warhammer 1, so I doubt they would have taken it out for Warhammer 2. But I don't know. I'll try and see that at some point. And then for the Skaven, we have a front line of 3 Skaven slaves with spears, the very cheap meat shield units. Oh, speaking of meat shield, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this. The expendable trait has now been added to Gobbo units of the greenskins. So the normal Gobbos, even Night Goblins have it, and I believe their Cav... Don't quote me on that. I didn't check their Cav. I'm sorry. I'm guessing their Cav has it. But the Gobbos and the Night Gobbos have the expendable trait now, which is awesome. Which means that if they rout, non-expendable units around them do not suffer a penalty to their leadership. So that's really cool. A nice little nifty buff added to the Gobbos. But anyway, Skaven Slaves Spears, we got 3 of them. Behind those, we have 1 of the Plague Monks, which are the really good anti-infantry melee focus. A lot of units like this in this battle. I have my Savage Orcs, which kind of do a similar role, but with worse stats. We have the Forsaken, which kind of do a similar role with no bonus versus infantry, but they're kind of all offensive focused. And now we got the Plague Monks. And then the War Dancers kind of do a similar role, but just with better stats. Huh. Anyway, we got 1 group of Plague Monks. I just kind of realized how many offensive focused units we have in this game. 1 group of Plague Monks. The rest of this line is going to be made up of 4 clans rats with shields. Again, this is just kind of another meat shield unit. They're not really great in melee, but they're not the worst either. And they just have large numbers. And then behind those, we have 1 group of the Poison Wind Globadiers, the anti-armor, anti-large, grenade throwing Globadiers. I love them for the price. They're really good. Leadership here, we have a Warlord mounted on the Rat Ogre. You saw this in my last battle. They are pretty good unit. They have really good stats. They have good weapon strength with armor piercing. They're pretty mobile on the Rat Ogre. They have the debuff that I took as well with the Shield of Distraction, lowering the melee attack by 5%. They also have Rally, which is the leadership buff. And then they have Venomous Valor, which is that explosion, which gets them out of a terrible situation. And then Deadly Onslaught, which again has been upgraded in Warhammer 2 to be better. I think the Warlord on a Rat Mount or Rat Ogre is a solid choice. They also do have a Plague Priest over here on the Chariot. I can't remember what this thing is called. This Chariot Mount. For the spells, though, they have Pestilent Birth, which can birth those Plague Monks. We also have Plague, which is the Vortex spell that does not move. We also have Vermintide, and then the Breath Weapon, Pestilent Breath, is what they took on their Chariot here. Then they also came with the passive Plague Rash. You know, I meant to check to see if the Vermintide has been changed in this Mortal Empires update. I don't know right now. I meant to check that. I don't know if they're still broken or not. The summons are. But anyway, they got the Plague Priest, and then behind the Plague Priest, we have the ranged part of the Skaven army, which is going to be 2 gutter runners with poison. These are the ones that can fire on the move, kind of relatively low range, but they do come with poison with this variant, so they're all right. And then we have 2 Skaven Slave Slingers, very, very low missile damage, very cheap, numerous, and they're okay, especially since they're so cheap. And then we have the Warp Lightning Cannon, which is an excellent anti-large, armor-piercing cannon piece. I love the artillery of the Skaven. It's just really good. The one Warp Lightning Cannon here, and then also they brought a play called Catapult, which is also armor-piercing, provides discouragement of 16? Sorry, 10. I keep forgetting. I see this icon, and I think 16 discouraged leadership debuff, but it's actually contaminated, which is only -10. My bad. But this is also still pretty accurate for kind of like a trebuchet unit. Really good, solid catapult trebuchet unit of the Skaven. And then rounding them up, we have a Storm Vermin with halberds protecting the 2 artillery pieces. And my god, that was a lot of talking. Okay. I figure, you know, Mortal Empires is out. It's been a while since we've seen the older factions, so I should spend some time talking about them. And I did. I hope you liked it. If not, I'll probably put a timestamp, hopefully, in the comment section. And you skipped past all of that. So let's get to the battle, shall we? Holy crap. So, Wurrzag's WAAAGH is going to go out on the march here. I can see and fear this Hell Cannon. So I'm going to move out like this, but then I'm going to move this way. My Wood Elf ally is going to swing wide. So we're going to kind of both be hitting the Chaos Army first, and the Skaven Army is going to be trailing a little bit behind. That's why we're kind of, well, now moving this way, but we're going to be focusing again on the Warriors of Chaos. And I don't really want to, but my Wood Elf ally doesn't have any kind of forces that can take all these Forsaken. The Forsaken would just run through all their forces and get into their archers. So I'm like, well, my Savage Orcs are going to have to take the brunt of this one. And it's going to hurt because Forsaken are pretty good at killing Savage Orcs. Savage Orcs are good, but against Forsaken, they're kind of outclassed. But we're going to have to do it anyway. So I'm issuing charge orders at this point. I am going to be casting a Brainbuster spell to try and give my Savage Orcs the buff to melee attack and charge bonus to try and do as much damage as I can. You can see the Skaven artillery hitting me. They were hitting my Savage Orc Warboys with their Warp Lightning Cannon, so I'm trying to pull the Savage Orcs that way. So with the Brainbuster, you can see they have a 50 melee attack, and their charge bonus has been increased. But even still, the Forsaken just have such a higher weapon strength and armor that they're going to be chewing through my Savage Orcs, except for the Biggins. The Biggins are very expensive, they're very good, and they are actually doing pretty well against these Forsaken, although there are also the Aspiring Champions. So I'm going to cast Here We Go on the Savage Orcs, trying to get these other Savage Orcs into that buff as well and assist them. You see the Chaos Warriors are going to be splitting off here, and then one's going to be going on this flank. Shriekin holding back. Who are we holding back over here anyway? Forsaken here? Yeah, holding back here. Forsaken. Blade Lord right now, I believe, is sniping the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. I'm throwing one of my Savage Orcs into the Shaggoth to try and pin them in place. My Giant, you can see, is getting hammered by the Skaven artillery. Oh, I totally forgot. I am totally sorry. There were other units of the Wood Elves. My bad. Back here, we have a group of... I knew I forgot something. We have a group of Way Watchers. It was a Vanguard deployed force, I totally forgot about. A group of Way Watchers, a group of the Wild Riders with shields, which are very excellent, fast-moving cav. Jeez, I can't believe I forgot about this. One group of Dryads, and then also a branch droid to lead this kind of Vanguard deployed force. This is important because these forces are going to be going up against the Skaven artillery and trying to silence them. And all that talking, I forgot about one of the most important forces of the game. Anyway, let's keep going. So right over here, I'm trying to get our Gobbo Big Boss, Wurrzag, and our Giant to snipe Sartorial, the Everwatcher. I am also going to be pinning him in place, or maybe I already did with the Effigy of the Git of Wurrzag. Do I do it right here? Or did I already do it? I can't remember. Either case, we're trying to kill Sartorial with these 3 units. I think I pinned him in place here. Over here, the Glade Lord is still sniping the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, or maybe the Chaos Knights at this point. My Savage Orcs are still trying to hold these units in place as I get my Cav units, which are over here. I'm going to be disengaging them from this fight and pouring them around to the left flank and trying to assist my ally over here. We are still dealing with Chaos Knights. The Shaggoth is still a big threat. These Chaos Knights or Chaos Warriors are still a big threat, so we're going to do a quick charge into them with my Savage Orcs. And there we go. I think Sartorial is pinned. Yeah, so Sartorial is pinned by Effigy the Git, but then the Skaven cast the Plague spell. So I'm going to try and move my units away from there, and then this is when Sartorial is going to escape. Meanwhile, back here, the Wild Riders did a really good charge here into both of these artillery pieces of the Skaven, and they're just going to be wrecking that Skaven artillery, which is crucial, as the other units are going to be dealing with the Skaven Storm Vermin. The Weight Watchers are very high armor piercing archer units, so they're going to be doing a lot of good damage to Storm Vermin back here. So this is a very good and crucial flank for my ally. Meanwhile, the Skaven army is over here, but not really doing a hard engage. They just put most of their heroes and one of the clan rats and Skaven slaves with spears up here. So we're able to really easily kill those Skaven slaves. There goes a Foot of Gork, by the way, on the Wurrzag Chaos and these clan rats. Not the best one, but I cast anyway. Here I'm going to be running away from the Warlord mounted on the Rat Ogre, trying to buy some time with my Savage Orc Biggins, pinning him into place, doing some decent damage because he is a large unit. But these Savage Orcs are going to be overwhelmed by just the massive amount of clan rats that are coming to him. But again, I'm going to be disengaging Wurrzag. My Goblin Big Boss went over here to try and finish off the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, as well as my Giant. So you can see we did a lot of good damage to him. At this point, we have routed most of what the Chaos has. So Arthuriel is going to be hanging out back here and then retreating around here, I think, when we start chasing him. But you can see they are routing off one of my Savage Orc Boar Boys, which we're going to go to this Hell Cannon. So my other Savage Orc Boar Boy is going to go this way. I kind of split them off, and this one is going to try and get into the cannon. And we are going to make it. You can see that they are trying to stop us with their Sartorial, and they're pulling their Forsaken back here. But we're still going to get the charge off and try and silence that cannon. Back here, the artillery pieces of the Skaven have been dealt with my allies' Vanguard movement, which is, again, was really good. And now they're dealing with the Poison Wind Globadiers. You can see that my ally is also bringing up their forces with the Hell Cannon, so we're going to do a 2-attack move here on the Hell Cannon, silencing that. They're also getting their treatment over here. I'm getting my Giant over there. We know what needs to be shut down. I'm also trying to kill Sartorial, by the way. Meanwhile, over here, I'm throwing some units that came back from routing, and we're going to be throwing them in here, casting another Brainbuster spell so they can get a buff to the melee stats and their charge bonus. Then we're going to be throwing Wurrzag, and I think my Goblin Big Boss into the Warlord, so we need to try and finish him off. He's trying to get into our Savage Orc Arrow Boys, who also assisted in killing the Shaggoth with their range damage. So we're going to be trying to pin him in place with Wurrzag, who again does armor piercing damage and is not terrible on the boar. So we're going to do some good damage against him. As our orcs try and hold back the Skaven Horde, here you can see that the Plague Priest is going to be summoning some Plague Monks to try and get into the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts. I'm doing my best to try and kill the Warlord. I'm going to have to pin him in place here. Yeah. So we pin him in place because don't want him running off and then coming back from routing. So we're going to try and finish him off here with the Goblin Big Boss and Wurrzag. We have taken out the Hell Cannon at this point, and the Giant and Treeman were fighting the Forsaken, and now we're fighting some Chaos Knights, and so Arthuriel did retreat and is going to withdraw up into here. I am taking some fire from the Skaven Slave Stingers, but they don't really do too much damage, so I'm not super worried about it. My big concern right now is taking out the other leadership of the Plague Priest. You can see that we killed the Rat Ogre at this point. So now we're going to get the Goblin Big Boss and Wurrzag to, I believe we go up here into the Plague Monks to try and assist the War Dancers, and then we're going to try and hit the Plague Priest, as what is left of my allies, War Dancers, Treekin, and my Savage Orc Arrow Boys are now engaged in melee against the Clan Rats, but we can kill Clan Rats in melee because of our high weapon strength and really good melee attacks. So you can see they're actually winning that melee fight there. Meanwhile, back here, we have routed the Chaos Knights with Lances. We have rerouted the Shaggoth, which came back to try and stop us because an ancient Treeman and a Giant are very hard to kill. You can see a regrowth spell being cast on the Treeman here from the Spell Singer of Life, so they're going to get their health back up to basically full or near it. And you can see they're going to start chasing Sartorial, who's going to be withdrawing behind the Skaven range line. But he is also getting pinned or hit by the Weight Watchers back here, but they don't really do much damage again because he has a high missile resistance. Now here comes my attack from Goblin Big Boss and Wurrzag. You see the Glade Lord. I don't even know if they've landed at this point. They've just been using their Poison Breath and their Archer ability. You can see they're actually out of ammunition at this point. So yeah, I don't think they've landed at all. But they are also going to be landing here soon against the Plague Priest because now they are out of ammo. And we're trying to take out the leadership of the Skaven because it kind of is a big deal for the Skaven if you take that out, because their leadership is all pretty good. Meanwhile, back here, these Chaos Warriors, I'm going to pin them in place by, I think, this Savage Orc we're going to run down, and also just start shooting them up with these Savage Orc Air Boys here and there. Giant is now going to be coming back over here to assist what is left of my forces, which isn't much, but the enemy doesn't have much either. You can see the Treeman is kind of causing havoc over here along with the Branch Wraith and what is left of the Dryads. We're going to be over here trying to destroy this Plague Priest with all of our heroes and lords. Giants should be coming over here. I think maybe I sent them into these Chaos Warriors who have come back from routing. These Chaos Warriors are going to reroute due to the arrows. We're going to recharge them with these Savage Orc Boar Boys. There's not much left of them, but they are still there. And Sartorial is going to come back into this fight against the Branch Wraith, but he does not have much health left at this point. And we're going to be either killing or shattering the Plague Priest here, because I pinned him with Effigy of the Git, or I'm sorry, Prey of Anathrema. Then I'm going to pin him with Effigy of the Git, and as soon as I do that, they shatter. So it's kind of a waste of Effigy of the Git, but I wanted to really kill this thing and not have it come back from routing. So since they are shattered, we're now going to move our forces over here. The only thing that is left is Sartorial, and, well, Sartorial is really good, but even Sartorial cannot take what we have left, which is a lot for him to handle. But he is going to try for a little while. We'll just fast forward to this point. So that is going to be a victory for the Greenskins and the Wood Elves against Chaos and Skaven. So good game to Genius WWE, Red Yvonne, and then no Dexterity. My poor Savage Orcs got massacred by the Forsaken. I knew it was going to happen, but I had to run interference for the Wood Elves, or else they would have been overwhelmed. If I went for the Skaven, I think my Wood Elf player, at least most of their forces over there, would have been destroyed. The Forsaken are super fast, so they can easily catch up to Glade Guard, which would be a bad thing. So, like, I kind of needed to take it, and that's cool. Like, we won. The archers of the Wood Elves lived throughout the entire battle, I believe. The War Dancers, I think, survived through most of it. So, I'll take the sacrifice. My Savage Orcs took the hit, but that's okay. The Savage Orc Biggins did a lot better, because they are just a lot better. Savage Orc Arrow Boys, they were mainly focusing fire on the Shaggoth, and then they got some kills against Chaos Warriors and Clan Rats there at the end. I don't know if they did exceptionally well. I wasn't paying attention to them that much, but they were there. Giant did a lot of good damage to Sartorial, to, who else did he damage? Hell Cannon, Chaos Knights. Didn't get many kills, but did deal a lot of damage. My Savage Orc Boar Boys actually did better than I expected them to. Only we got 19 kills here, but that's fine. This one got 79 kills for a unit that cost 750, and considering the units that they were killing, I think that was fine. And then Wurrzag, 138 kills on Wurrzag, which is awesome. Goblin Big Boss was just going out sniping targets, because that's what the Goblin Big Boss does. They snipe heroes and lords and squishier targets, so that's what he was up to, especially with their sort of anti-heroes now, which is an insane buff. Really good. For my Wood Elf ally here, you can see Glade Lord did really well. Their War Dancers did exceptionally well. 170 kills there. The Glade Guard, I think, did really great. Weight Watchers, 140 kills. They massacred that Skaven spear unit. The Storm Vermin is the word I'm looking for. And then the Wild Riders, 183 kills. So the flanking force did really well. And I think it was pretty much crucial to winning this battle because they shut down the artillery. I think they shut down the Globadiers, the Storm Vermin. They got onto the Archer units. So yeah, the flank was really good. For Red Yvonne, their Forsaken did, for the most part, really well, at least against my Savage Orcs. The Chaos Warriors did really well. The Chaos Knights kind of got pinned in place and destroyed. The Hell Cannon got 51 kills before we managed to shut down. And the Shaggoth also kind of got pinned in place and then focus fire down, so they didn't do too much. And then for no dexterity, Clan Rats all got a decent amount of kills considering what they are. Plague Priest 60 kills, which is pretty good. The Storm Vermin still netted 41 kills. I don't even know against... Oh, probably the Dryads, as they were getting killed by the Weight Watchers. 70 kills on a Gutter Runner is actually really good. And then some decent damage here on the artillery before it was taken out. Whew. So I hope you enjoyed the battle. That was a lot of talking. Let's go watch cinematic view. I was cool with the Hell Cannon shooting my Savage Orcs. That is a perfect unit to absorb the fire. It's the cheapest one I got. Feels good to play the Greenskins again. Oh, my poor Savage Orcs take such a beating. A lot of spell effects going on right now. Oh, what's that? I had a right flank? I didn't remember having a right flank. God, that just got destroyed so quick.
Let's ride. Horse, dude. Come on, boys. Let's get him.
Damn, Wurrzag.
Shifting. 60. Nail gauge. Moving fast. Yes, boss. Let's have some. Use it. Smell smooth. Gonna enjoy this. It smells amazing. Come on, boys. Smash 'em.
He's just trying to get out of here, I think. Oh, maybe not. Oh, pretty gorgeous, still so cool. Do the Wild Riders look even cooler? Like, I don't remember them having such a neon pronounced color on their units. Like, it was cool before, but it looks even cooler now. Maybe I'm just crazy. I like the sound of the Globadiers, the little grenades exploding.
Warden! Shifting! Time for slaughtering! Bring it! Come on then! Nice bit of scrapping! Let's go!
Shifting it! Running! Daggers out!
Skills time! Let's fight! Moving on! Moving fast! Spell smooth!
More Savage Orcs.
Let's smash 'em! Bring it on! Move it on! Crash and smash! Jump again!
Yeah, there's that dead warlord.
He's dead win!
Wurrzag and the Gobble Big Boss.
Running! Go!
Hold on then! Let's fight! 60! Let's fight! Austin!
Nasty combination. Prey of Anathrema and then also
Let's
effigy to
smash
get.
'em good.
Just these people just couldn't go anywhere.
Smoke's out. That is dead. Smells time.
See some Big Bird love here. Oh! Big Bird, what happened?
Press on.
Oh, also, sorry, yeah, Blood of, whatever the blood mod is called is actually out too. By the way, in case you didn't notice, with all the giant explosions of blood and stuff, that's out as well. I think that's it? Alright. Yeah, so in case you just couldn't tell, I don't know, it's hard to see it really in this game, to see that the blood mod's activated now. But yeah, that's out, so thanks for watching everybody, hope you enjoyed some more Wurrzag as the first Mortal Empires multiplayer match, and I will see you all next time. Take care.